Boston College is the definition of consistent. The Eagles have not won 8 games in a season since 2009, but they've won 6 or 7 games in 10 of the last 14 years, including a 7-6 mark last season. Jeff Hafley surprised a lot of people by leaving the head coaching job at Boston College to go take an assistant role with the Green Bay Packers, and now Boston College brings in a great mind in Bill O'Brien, who they're hoping can finally get them over that 8-win hump. So welcome back to the Gridiron Expert, guys. We're so glad you could join us today to break down Boston College's record for this upcoming season, a new era for the Eagles. As always, please continue to like, comment, subscribe, share our videos, and check out everything down in the description below. That includes our website, thegridironexpert.com, home of our expert picks. Do not miss out on those, guys. We want you to win big with us, become a member of our GE Nation, one of the best deals in the entire country with tons of exclusive content this year. The links for that down in the description below, as well as our mailing address to send us your team's gear, just like all of you other fans have sent us back here. We want to represent your team. We want to grow our GE Nation. We want to grow our channel, and you can do that by liking, commenting, subscribing, and again, checking everything out down in the description below. So Boston College. Again, it's kind of weird. You don't think of them as being such a consistent program, but they are a perennial bowl team. Typically have been over the last decade, really. Almost 2 decades the Eagles have been, but have never really been able to take that hump to being a true contender in the ACC, being a true threat and really going to a quality bowl game. 6-7 wins, 10 of the last 14 seasons. Can't get over that mark. Bill O'Brien could be the guy to do it, although it may not be this year. And take a look at what BC has coming back. They've got 17 starters coming back this year, including 9 starters back on offense. And one of the things that has plagued Boston College over these last really 15 years, they've never really had great quarterback play. Matt Ryan's a BC legend. We know that. But really, they haven't had much to go on offensively. They might have that this year. Bill O'Brien, an offensive-minded coach, and a star quarterback in Thomas Castellanos, who threw for over 2,200 yards and 15 touchdowns last year, but he's the most dangerous with his legs, where he rushed for over 1,100 yards and 13 touchdowns. He's got to cut down on the interceptions, had 14 interceptions last year, but what he lacks in passing, he makes up for with his rushing ability. They return their star running back, Kai Robichaud, 780 yards last year and 8 touchdowns. Also add Trayshawn Ward at running back from Kansas State. Lewis Bond is back as their top wide receiver from last year. And then Bill O'Brien went out there and added some big-time transfers, such as Duran Bradley from Texas Tech, Jaden McGowan from Vanderbilt, and the offensive line has 115 combined starts back this year. This is a team that offensively should not struggle at all, but they've got to improve in the passing numbers. Castellanos has to improve as a passer. Only averaged 182 passing yards per game, committed a lot of turnovers. Got to clean that up, and if he does, watch out for the Eagles. Defensively, 8 starters are back this year after giving up over 28 points per game in 2023. The problem was their rushing defense. They were great on the ground offensively. They struggled on the ground defensively. The Eagles giving up 188 rushing yards per game. That number has to improve, and there's a good chance that it will, with the Eagles returning 10 of their top 12 tacklers from last year. They do lose their top 2 tacklers. That part is rough, but all 4 starters are back on the defensive line, led by Cam Horsley. Cam Arnold returns as the top returning tackler from last year. Number 3 on the team last year, but the top one that does return at linebacker. The secondary was banged up last year, should be better this year. The key for Boston College, again, shoring up the run defense and creating more pressure on the quarterback. The Eagles only had 13 sacks in all of 2023. You're not going to win many games if you give that opposing quarterback a lot of time in the pocket. Take a look at their schedule. It is rather difficult, honestly. I mean, you look at that. Opening the year up at Florida State. They have a road game at Missouri, another power opponent in Michigan State, at Virginia Tech, at SMU. I mean, it's a tough schedule in year 1 under Bill O'Brien. I think reaching a bowl game would be a very impressive feat for him in his first year. Back to the college ranks after serving as head coach at Penn State back in 2012 and 13, and of course head coach of the Houston Texans for about 6 or 7 years. But you take a look at what we're up against, I got to say they're going to lose to Florida State. First game of the year, Florida State already is going to have a game under their belt in Ireland against Georgia Tech in week 0. So the first game under Bill O'Brien with a new coach, with these new schemes, goes on the road on Labor Day Monday against the reigning ACC champions that have already knocked off a little bit of rust. All of that sounds like a recipe for disaster for Boston College. Even though they only lost by 2 last year to Florida State, a game where they committed a record 18 penalties. Boston College, a school record 18 penalties against the Seminoles last year. They're going to fall to the Seminoles again. They will beat Duquesne 1-1, and they will lose to Missouri. The Tigers are legit this year, just as they were last year. Won 11 games, won the Cotton Bowl. First meeting since 2021 when Boston College won at home, Chestnut Hill, 41-34 in overtime. But this Tigers team, guys, is way too good, way too experienced. Although the fun storyline here is that this will be the first SEC road game for Boston College since 1998. So a little bit of history being made, but they're not going to be able to get the win over a very good and what will be a nationally ranked Missouri team. So 1-2 for Boston College. If they want to go bowling, they're going to have to take care of business against Michigan State and Western Kentucky. 2 games that are, on paper, they should win, but are going to be maybe a little bit more difficult than you think. You look at Michigan State, this is a team that is in a major rebuild right now. Obviously, the Mel Tucker debacle left that team in shambles, and now they've got Jonathan Smith coming in from Oregon State, so a brand new head coach for the Spartans. The offense, I think, is going to be atrocious. The defense does return 10 starters, maybe won't be as bad, but we know that Jonathan Smith is a program builder. He's not an immediate fixer. With home field advantage, the significant offensive advantage, and maybe a defense that is about even as Michigan State's, if not better, give me BC to take down the Spartans and give me them to beat Western Kentucky as well. Do not sleep on the Hilltoppers. Tyson Helton's squad is always dangerous offensively. So if Boston College is, falling asleep here, if they don't come ready to play, Western Kentucky will come in, give them a fight, and will beat them. Keep in mind, Boston College lost to Northern Illinois last year. That wasn't supposed to happen. Season opener. They have been prone to slipping up against teams they maybe shouldn't over the last few years. That's probably been a major reason why they can't get over that 7-win hump to get to 8 wins or 9 wins. I don't think they slip up to a group of 5 team this year. They will beat Western Kentucky in a game that maybe is closer than you think, and they are 3-2 heading into the bulk of conference play, which really isn't a bad mark at all. They go on the road to Virginia. This is a dangerous game. The Cavaliers nearly won last year, losing to Boston College 27-24. Boston College's defense had 6 of their 13 sacks on the year against Virginia. That tells you everything you need to know, right? Virginia's offensive line was terrible. BC was able to exploit it. 6 of their 13 sacks in just one game. But Virginia's going to be better this year. It might not show in the win total, but they're going to be significantly better competitively. And last year, they were very competitive against the Eagles. They have a lot of returning talent on offense. The defense should get a lot better. And this Boston College secondary that still has a couple questions, I think will be attacked by whoever is at quarterback for Virginia, whether it's Tony Muskett or Anthony Calandria. This is going to be a very good, I wouldn't say very good, but a much more improved Virginia offense this year. Give me the Cavaliers to win this game at home, off a week of rest, I should add. The Cavaliers well rested for this game. Boston College is going to be beat up after some very tough games in the weeks prior. They lose at Virginia in a mini upset. Virginia's offensive line's going to be significantly better as well. And they're 3-3, right at 500, entering a bye week. So the rest of the season is going to be made right here. Can they win half of the remaining games? Right at the halfway point, 3-3, not a horrible mark, especially when you consider 2 of those losses are on the road to quality top 15 opponents in Florida State and Missouri. Can they win half of the remaining games? Well, I'm going to tell you right now, they're not going to beat Virginia Tech or Louisville before their next bye week. Virginia Tech simply way too good. The Eagles lost 48-22 last year and allowed 600 yards of offense to the Hokies. And while I don't think they're going to allow that many yards this year, they might allow as many points this year. Hokies loaded offensively, returned 95% of their offensive production from last year. On the road in Blacksburg, a very difficult place to play. They will fall to a good Virginia Tech team, and they will fall to Louisville. Lost to the Cardinals by 28 last year, 56-28. Allowed 582 yards of offense. Once again, the defense plaguing the Eagles here. While I don't think they allow 56 points, while I don't think they allow nearly 600 yards of offense, Louisville is still simply way too good. They reloaded on offense to the transfer portal. That defense, especially up front, going to be nasty once again for Jeff Brom's squad. So a little bit closer. BC still not good enough to hang with the top dogs in the conference. They dropped both of those, and now you're starting to panic. 3-5. 3-5, 4 games left. They got to win 3 of their final 4 to go bowling. We're a little concerned. Well, they keep their hopes alive with a win against Syracuse after the bye week. That is massive. Week of rest. Home game against a Syracuse team that also has a brand new head coach in Fran Brown. Syracuse is going to be coming off a very tough game against Virginia Tech, so a beat-up Syracuse team now has to come on the road against a well-rested Boston College team with their backs against the wall. BC did beat Syracuse 17-10 last year. That doesn't mean a whole lot because these two teams are so different, but I don't know if Syracuse is going to be able to contain Thomas Castellanos. Can the new Syracuse defense, switching from a 3-4 to a 4-3 front, can they find a way to contain Thomas Castellanos and force him to win this game through the air? I'm going to say they can't. I think the Eagles have a big day on the ground. 185 rushing yards last year for the Eagles against the Orange, by the way. And Boston College gets their 4th win of the year, keeps those bowl hopes alive as they head into a road game at SMU. This is an intriguing game because these two teams met in their bowl game last year. Rematch of the Fenway Bowl, where Boston College won 23-14 in the cold, in the rain, against an SMU team that didn't have their star quarterback in Preston Stone. SMU now gets to host the Eagles off of a bye week, hopefully fully healthy, with a little bit of revenge on their mind after falling short in that bowl game last year. I like this SMU team a lot. They are loaded offensively, loaded defensively. Everybody's saying they can't compete in their first year in the ACC. I highly disagree. I love SMU in this spot. Give me the Mustangs to beat Boston College, splitting that series with less than a year away from each other, splitting that series 1-1, which means Boston College has to win their last 2 games just to go bowling in year 1 under Bill O'Brien. The last 2 games are at home against North Carolina and Pittsburgh. Very winnable games for the Eagles. So winnable, in fact, that I am calling for them to win both of them. They will beat North Carolina in a bit of an upset. The Tar Heels are defensively still not there yet. They should improve. You'd think they would, but they gave up 163 rushing yards per game last year. Do they have the ability to stop Thomas Castellanos? Do they have the ability to stop Kai Robichaud and Trayshawn Ward? I don't think they do. And I do think that Boston College also does improve as a passing team. I think Bill O'Brien works on the mechanics with Castellanos and gets those passing numbers improved and cuts down on those turnovers. So can North Carolina defensively slow down this Boston College offense? I'm going to say no. Can Boston College's defense slow down the North Carolina offense? Might also say no there as well. It's a potential shootout. It's going to be back and forth, but I like the team with the dangerous dual threat QB and home field advantage to get the job done. And the same with the game against Pittsburgh. They lost to Pittsburgh by 8 last year, but with a potential bowl berth on the line, senior day, home field advantage, all the whole 9 yards here for BC, it's hard for me to pick against them, especially with a Pittsburgh team that should improve a little bit from last year's 3-9 record, but maybe not as much as people think. So I love that spot for Boston College. I love what they've got in those last 2 games. If their backs are against the wall, fighting for bowl eligibility, I think Bill O'Brien gets his squad ready and gets the job done to finish the year at 6-6. So while the streak will continue, while Boston College will once again see another year where they do not eclipse 7 wins, they don't hit that 8-win mark, they will go bowling once again. They will see 11 of the last 15 years where they reach a bowl game, where they reach at least 6 or 7 wins. Boston College will get there this year, and I think next year could be the year where they flirt with that 8-win mark. I think Bill O'Brien was a phenomenal hire. He's going to do great things with this program, laying a solid foundation in year 1 with a very experienced team with 17 starters back and getting to the bowl game is step 1. And next year, I think, is where they take step 2 and that big step forward. So guys, as always, thank you so much for watching us here at the Gridiron Expert on YouTube. Make sure to continue to like, comment, subscribe, share our videos, and of course, check out everything down in the description below. That includes our website, thegridironexpert.com, home of our expert picks. Do not want to miss out on those. Do not want to miss out on the opportunity to become a member of our GE Nation. And once again, as always, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time right here on the Gridiron Expert.